Michael, I personally think that Beth gave away what we're going to talk about tonight when we were discussing things in the pre-show, as we often do. We get together, we talk, and she was asking if we were gaslighting ourselves into whether or not things are really safer now. I think that's the topic.
That could be, or maybe how McDonald's cures head injuries.
Ooh, yeah, it does. It can short circuit a migraine. We know that. So why couldn't it fix concussions?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to find out in a minute what we're talking about. He's Mike. I'm Dan. We are, as they say, in the blind. It's In the Blind with Mike and Dan.
Yes, it's In the Blind, Mike and Dan. Chime time coming up on 2 minutes past the hour, 4:02 and 97 degrees out there. Yeah.
Apparently, let's throw over to the Beth for weather.
That's right. Traffic and weather together right here on the twos.
And we're doing all this because some moron over on Mike's channel complained that he's got a radio voice. Heaven forbid.
My voice is irritating. I've had... of all the criticisms over the years, Mike, you're fat, you're stupid, you're ugly. There's validity to all of those things. But come on, let me have my voice. The voice is the only thing I've got. Well, in my award-winning charm. But I don't understand. Come on. Let me have a skill, unlike that guy.
Michael, why can't you just be skillless like everybody else?
Yes, just have no skills at all and just be some guy that comments on someone's weather video on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the future.
Yes. Well, AI will pretty much do that all for us very, very soon.
Once UBI kicks in, you just watch how the comments on YouTube shoot up.
Oh, boy.
Because people are going to need a hobby.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Anyways, like we said, this is In the Blind with Mike and Dan. If you have not been here before, here's how this rolls. We have no idea what we're going to talk about, thus the name In the Blind. But producer Beth, sitting across from me, is looking very devious. She will come up with 2 topics for us. We have 20 minutes each on those to discuss, debate, unpack all that. And then we do the true-false round at the end, which is all sorts of fun because Beth usually brings in at least 1 or 2 crazy things that make you question humanity. That about it?
I try, yeah.
All right, cool. You ready, Michael?
I am. Well, I'm as ready as I can be for not knowing what the hell we're talking about.
Well, there's that. And, do something about your voice, would you please?
I know. It's very irritating. It's even irritating me, quite frankly.
I really don't want to put up with this for an hour, dude.
Okay, well,
that's
do something about it.
All right, Beth, hit it.
Okay. Something that's been getting more attention lately is the idea of turning real-world events into something people can bet on or financially speculate about. Platforms are emerging where people can wager on outcomes like elections, global events, and even parts of mainstream culture and entertainment. At the same time, we're seeing more areas of everyday life like housing, infrastructure, and systems people depend on being treated as financial assets. So there's this shift happening where life itself starts to feel more like something you can trade, predict, or profit from. And it raises a bigger question, not just about money, but about impact. If more and more of life becomes something to bet on, what does that actually cost us as a society?
Interesting. Mikey, do you want to start or do you want me to?
Well, so, it's amazing. As somebody that's always been kind of in tune with, gambling and what you can bet on and all that stuff. The poly market stuff and all this stuff that comes around now is so bizarre to me. It is definitely, again, foot on the accelerator in the race to the bottom. And it opens up a whole wide array of topics about who's profiting off of that. But, you know, I'm not anti-gambling. I'm not but I understand that there's a lot of problems that are brought about because of that. And, you know, it certainly does. It does say a lot about our society, but it is something that apparently we just need to sort of accept it as part of reality now. It's not going anywhere. And you can bet on that. No, really, we're stuck with, you know, whether you like it or not, even crazy things like betting on if, you know, we're going to get nuked tomorrow, which, by the way, you know, if it did happen, how are you going to collect on that bet?
That's a good point.
Like everything's the
irradiated
happens.
Bitcoin.
Yes. I don't know. The world is a crazy place. You know, it's one thing to have your football pool, or it's one thing to go on to BetMGM and throw a few bucks down on the Tigers tonight, because there's no way the Diamondbacks ever win a game, probably because they're awful. But you know, it's another entirely when we're like, so when, you know, the over under on when the ground troops go into Iran, it's like, well, maybe we draw the line at that. I don't know. It is wild.
Yeah. So I just pulled up Kalshi because I was curious what's currently trending over there. And you know, we're basically gamifying politics and like international relations and all of that. So currently, how long will the government shutdown last? The wisdom of the crowd there is at least 70 days, is currently at 61%.
Wow.
Will members of Congress be banned from trading stocks before January 1, 2029? 56% say yes. What will the U.S. tariff rate on China be on July 1? 70% believe it'll be between 10 and 19.99%.
It's interesting, although I will say anybody that, you know, and I will say, you know, this is a little bit from, I actually used to be sort of the semi-professional gambler. I used to bet on baseball back in the 2000s for a few years, because I used that as part of my income for a while. And one thing I definitely learned back then was you can never count on the public. The public is generally wrong. So when I see all that, I kind of go, I don't know. I wouldn't count on that China tariff rate. That's for sure.
Well, the scariest thing to me, Mike, on this is, you know, if you're betting on baseball or something like that, let's be honest, you're betting on something in the grand scheme of things is pretty meaningless, right?
Right.
But here we're betting on and we're gamifying our lives. I mean,
yes,
you know, what's happening politically, what's happening with international relations, all of those things, they all have blowback on us. And the fact that we're gamifying it tells me that we are 100% checked out of ever being serious about it.
Yeah.
And these are things that we desperately need to be serious about. But you can't look at something like this. And the amount of money that's in on this stuff is just crazy too. How long will the government shutdown last? There's almost $11 million in bets on that one question.
Oh my God.
So there's all this money that's tied up in these markets, and people, they're YOLOing stuff that really makes a difference in our lives, stuff that really matters.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to walk into a casino and bet it all on red. It's a whole other thing in my mind to pull up Kalshi and go, yeah, I'll throw down the house on the government shutdown lasting more than 80 days. because there's a deeper meaning to that to me. Not just you being reckless, it's you saying I don't give a shit about how the world works anymore.
Right. It used to be you could bet on things like who will win president of the United States, who will win the election. That, is one thing because it's pretty much a one or the other. It's not. Yes, of course, it greatly impacts lives. Yes, of course, but it's an event that's going to happen. It's an event that, it's just kind of a whatever. Or you bet on, the royal family or something, again, something pretty meaningless. Especially Harry and Meghan, I would say there's not much more meaningless than that. That said, once you start to get into, war and government shutdowns and things where people's lives are greatly impacted and not just some big time athlete or not just, two guys running for president, this is something that is impacting millions of people and gamifying that. And beyond that, you're gamifying, there's other things on there too. Yeah. What was the one you were something about stocks, like whether or not Congress will be allowed to trade stocks?
Will members of Congress be banned from trading stocks? And there's dates involved with that. They've thrown down $230,000 on that, but you'll appreciate this one, Michael. There's climate betting.
I was going to get to that.
Highest temperature in LA today. $273,000 has been thrown down on that.
Can I just say something? When in 2020, when all the sports went on hiatus because of COVID, for a couple of weeks there, these sites like BetMGM and some of these sites, they did betting on the weather. And of course I took advantage of that, it was like, oh, and I will say, odds makers are really, 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 really good at setting odds for sporting events. They're almost like too good.
Yep.
They know how to, it's an amazing, the skill that's involved there. But when it comes to
the house isn't going to lose.
But when it came to the weather, the reason they stopped doing it was because the house was losing on it because the guys that did it for those sites anyway, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is easy money right here. I wish I would have done more than betting like $10 and $20 on it. But now that I know that this is going on, maybe I'm going to have to go start doing that, Dan, and maybe I'll put that on my channel. What better way to boost viewership than? All right, so we talked about the weather. Now let's talk about the dollars behind it. Let's go over under on Flagstaff's high temperature today.
Isn't it CNN that has the partnership with Kalshi?
I believe it is now, yeah.
And they're going to actually run it on the ticker. So it's going to look like it's part of the news. It's like going to eventually be fully integrated into CNN, which is frightening. That
is gross.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just get a visceral reaction to that. Listen, man, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for, to a point anyway, I'm all for, people being able to make money and doing whatever business deals they want to do. But that just has a really disgusting feeling when a news outlet, and Fox News, CNN, MS Now, whatever. I mean, I realize it's not really news, it's entertainment. Okay.
I was just going to say that.
But the word news appears in their name. They are at least under the guise of being a news outlet. Why would you do that? That is so, it calls into question your credibility. And you can say, well, yeah, but they do sponsorships with all sorts of other things. Yes, they do. And we could certainly get into some of the ramifications of some of those things, the big pharma companies and some of the, anything. absolutely, there's questions, but when you start getting in on gambling sites, especially gambling sites with the news and with like political event, that's weird. I just get a really strange feeling about that.
Well, it's not weird, it's wrong.
Yeah.
I would like to see them. I'd like to see somebody challenge it in court and make them rename themselves like the WWE had to.
Yeah.
Admit their entertainment and just
Right.
rename themselves, because they really are. But
Absolutely.
especially if you're betting on the news, I mean, it's just. And the thing is, that calls into other question too, because conceivably they could change the news to sway the markets.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the other thing is, I have a problem with some of these things because, I mean, it's already been called into question whether or not the current administration and people in Congress aren't making money off of Polymarket and deliberately taking actions that are influencing what happens with these events. And,
of course they are.
So
right.
It's beneficial to their
I mean,
wallet, of course. Yeah.
It's just the new stock market. I mean, you look at, on the other side, you look at how rich Pelosi got. All you had to do was follow whatever Pelosi did. You'd be a multimillionaire right now.
Sure.
Because it was all insider stuff.
Right.
We all know it. It's no different here. They've just moved it to another market.
They came down on Martha Stewart, grandma. They came down on grandma for allegedly insider trading on pretty weak circumstances. This was over 20 years ago, and they made a big spectacle out of making Martha Stewart look like she was some monster. She was already worth like $100 million or more than that. I mean, she's worth just a gazillion dollars. Like, she really needed a few extra million from insider trading. Meanwhile, members of Congress go in thousandaires or 10,000aires and come out multimillionaires. And they don't do that because they're making $180,000 a year or $200,000 a year or whatever pay raise they give themselves. They don't do it because of their yearly salary. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very obvious how that happens. And before someone goes, well, they got speaking engagements and some of these guys go out and do the speaking circuit. Yeah, okay, a couple of them do. But I don't think anybody's going to sit here and listen to Andy Biggs speaking someplace, except for, maybe a Klan rally. But, I'm sorry.
Don't hold back, Mike. Tell us how you really feel.
Well, those guys aren't paying anyway, except in lost teeth. So I'm sorry, but like
spicy.
Well, but I mean, like, come on, man. How do you go into Congress? Like, you need them, and somehow you've got these action committees, these super PACs behind you, or whoever, the party's behind you, and they sponsor you and whatever, and you get in and you're making $170,000 a year. And your net worth when you went in was, $68.05. And now it's, $17,468.05. Like, how does that happen unless there's insider trading and there's some BS going on when these are public servants? And again, it's not to say every single one of them is the worst person in the world. But
I'll say it.
Well, I didn't really know how to finish that sentence, so thank you for bailing me out, Dan.
No, it's, and the sad thing is to reel it back to the betting markets that we have now is the majority of people who are tied up in this absolutely 100% cannot afford to be.
Right.
The true entrepreneurs out there, the true people who have made themselves into millionaires and billionaires and have done it from nothing, not the ones who have traded, with inside knowledge in Congress. They know what to properly do with their money, and how to invest it properly and get it to compound and get the money to work for themselves.
Yes.
This is not getting money to work for you.
No. It is not.
And it's betting on the worst damn things imaginable. I mean, just as I'm paging through this, it's disgusting. There is currently 6.1 million bet on what gas prices in the US will be at the end of the month.
I hate to even ask, but is there anybody betting on Savannah Guthrie?
Oh, I
I
don't doubt it.
I didn't even want to go. My brain actually was going in another direction when you started down that road, Beth. My brain was going toward like who's going to be named next in the Epstein files, or
Okay, not on Kalshi. So they do have some editorial standards. You can only bet on crooked politicians.
Oh, well, phew. All right. Thank God.
But
still,
this is
it's gross. The gambling. Look, again, I am not, before anybody, I am not anti-gambling, but I do recognize that most of the people that get caught up in it, and I mean, I'm not talking about your weekend warrior that throws $100 on a game. I mean, people that are betting, they're making 72 bets a day, their rent money and all this is going on there. It's already bad enough. And then when you throw in these world events and, Dan's talking about millions or hundreds of thousands being placed on a single event, that tells me, yikes. I mean, that is a scary proposition. So I don't know, man. I worry about it. And, gambling already has, again, from a guy that enjoys it from time to time, even though I haven't been to Vegas and I can't even, like 4 years. I know that, there's a darker side to it. And by the way, if you win too much, they kick you out, or they ban you from these sites if you start winning too much. If you go into a casino and you are an advantage player at blackjack, for example, they'll either back you off or kick you off the property, because they're allowed to take as much money as they want. But if you start doing it, you're out.
Yep.
So, it's wild though. The Savannah I didn't even think about that. Polymarket, I'm sure, does that.
Well, let's find out real quick.
I mean, sure. How depraved. Like I said, we're on the accelerator is pressed. We're in full fifth gear is locked in. The race to the bottom. Free fall, baby. That's where we're going.
No, I don't see that. You can bet on the winner of Survivor 50, though.
Well,
so that's exciting.
I didn't even know that they were still doing that.
Yeah.
I thought that ended after like that the flamboyant dude won it back in like 2000. I thought they didn't do the show anymore after that.
Oh no, still going.
It tells you how much TV I watch these days.
Well, I think ultimately we've talked, you and I here, we've talked about it in other places about the enshittification of our society.
Yeah.
This just, cries out to that fact, doesn't it?
Lord. They're like,
you guys don't like to have fun. Like, no.
They're betting on like opening weekends at the box office. And because we're on YouTube, one of them is 50 million views on a Mr. Beast video in the first day by April 30th. And that's like a legit bet.
I would not take that bet with how broken YouTube is.
I
God only
either.
knows.
I would not either.
The big thing that dawned on me just now too, before we move on, is this is easily hundreds of millions of dollars that's tied up and not working out there in the economy right now.
Yep.
Yes.
As we're waiting for these for these events to happen to decide out how it pays out. Now, Kalshi's doing something with it, but this is all money that isn't working in any local community anywhere.
Yep.
Right.
It's off the plate. How much better would our economy be right now if we didn't have that?
That's
I would
a
bet
very good question.
I would bet, haha, in some communities that it would be better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, even if you spent money trying to organize some activities for kids in your neighborhood, or there's a million different things you could do with money that would be much better than this.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I agree.
All right. So the next question undoubtedly ties into this at least a little bit because you've been theming lately.
It does a little bit.
So what you got next?
In some areas, companies and developers are offering homeowners significantly more than market value to sell their homes, sometimes life-changing amounts of money. A lot of this demand is being driven by large-scale infrastructure projects, including data centers, which require massive amounts of land, power, and water to operate. On the surface, it seems like a win. If someone offers far above what your home is worth, most people would consider taking it. But it raises a deeper question about what that choice actually means. Because when the offer is high enough and the surrounding environment starts to change, it can begin to feel less like a decision and more like something inevitable. If the price is high enough and the cost of staying keeps rising, is it really a choice, or is it just a softer form of pressure?
Read that last part again.
If the price is high enough and the cost of staying keeps rising, is it really a choice, or is it just a softer form of pressure?
Interesting.
So it's kind of connected, but not as connected as
Not as
some of the
connected as
other
you
ones.
have been doing.
Yeah.
But it's money related. Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's definitely this whole question to me speaks of engineering and who's really kind of pulling the strings, who's the man behind the curtain on all of it. And in a lot of ways, we're not in control of our destiny as we would like to think that we are, at least not in a traditional sense. You've got to find other ways to be in control of what's going on in your world. But yeah, I mean, there are just outrageous things going on in the housing market. You mentioned the data centers and them picking up the land. You have foreign investors, and this one really bothers me, picking up property right and left. Why are we allowing China to buy our land?
Yeah.
But we
that
are,
bothers me too.
and that's driving up prices for everybody and making it more and more difficult. There's weird stuff going on here too. They're building here near the bunker. They're building entire communities that they're turning into rentals. And they're offering these ridiculously low deals for the first year. And it's pulling people out of the areas that they've been in, moving them in here, which is quite honestly kind of taking down the overall average income of the citizens of our city. So it's pulling in people who are struggling a lot more, but they're coming in here just because they can live a little cheaper for a year. And that's so they can fill these homes and justify to their investors and everything else that, this whole project is working, and everything's just like a house of cards. But do we all really have a choice? Because that's your ultimate question. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because after that year, the rug pull, and then those prices are those are gonna go way up. This is the data center thing is. Well, we've seen various iterations of it, right? I mean, not far from Studio B, they've pretty much built all along, the 85 here, Buckeye Road in Tolleson, they built all of these warehouses. I mean, they turned the whole area, all the farms that were down there, all those fields are gone. And now it's just warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. And they're doing it further all the way down the road there.
Oh, it's gotten to us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the way.
We've got a
over here.
Walmart DC within walking distance of where we are. And 2 years ago, we were surrounded by nothing but farms.
Yeah, there was a big farm south of Studio B. There was a great big farm there. Now there's like there is a little tiny farm somewhere down there, but almost all the other land is now subdivisions, and they're building grocery stores and warehouses and whatever. But the data center thing is, I know it's becoming like one of the biggest topics online. Very, very slowly, it's been building momentum in that direction, because these data centers, they take up a huge amount of land. They employ roughly 20 or 30 people. They cost, the cities give them these huge tax breaks, these huge tax incentives. Yep. And they're hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks. And the taxpayers, I mean, they're paying for this, and they barely employ anybody in the community. They use up all the community's resources, including more water is used by a data center than some small towns.
Yep.
I mean,
And
they use more. Yeah, right. Water and electricity. They need their own hydroelectric dam to power these things, really, because they can use as much water as a city of 20,000, 30,000 people. It is alarming. Again, people worry about what's going on around the world, and I know we should be to some degree because it affects everything. But what's happening right under your nose is probably even more impactful to the community and those data centers. And what are they doing? Nobody is anybody asking what's going on in these data centers? No. We're employing 20 people. Neat. Those people are being paid decent amount of money. Sure. But it doesn't justify the hundreds of millions of dollars to the taxpayer, not only in the cost of the building itself, but in the resources that it consumes. And again, I talk about race to the bottom, and that's not just that's not just me being dramatic or, speaking in some sort of cliches or hyperbole or whatever. It really is. Okay, extrapolate that out. Go out 20 years. I mean, are we going to be nothing but data centers and warehouses? I mean, is that pretty much our future?
Well,
yeah.
They keep building these weird buildings and nobody asks questions. And this isn't me trying to take us off on a tin hat, foil expedition here. But I mean, for the longest time, nobody ever knew what 33 Thomas Street was or who even owned it. And we still don't really know what goes on inside it. And it's been there forever.
So just to be clear for the audience, 33 Thomas is a building in New York City. It is a tall skyscraper with no windows, and it's guarded.
And it's owned by AT&T.
It's owned by AT&T, exactly. But we're getting those things in our backyards.
Yeah.
Not skyscrapers, but the same equivalent. These buildings where stuff's going on and nobody completely understands it, except that it takes all of our resources. And because it takes the resources, it drives up the price for us because of supply and demand.
There's a building that we pass by from time to time that it barely has any windows, and it's all fenced off, and it is guarded 24/7. And Michelle always says that's the building where they keep a bunch of money. And I thought, well, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But they probably keep other stuff in there too, I'm guessing. So yeah, whenever I see stuff like that, and again, this isn't like, look, there's conspiracy, tinfoil hat stuff, and then there's just stuff where you gotta wonder what's going on. There's asking questions sometimes, especially when it's, again, nobody approves this stuff. The voters don't.
Yeah.
No.
City councils do. Handshakes with governors or mayors or whatever. These deals that happen in secret. And I know that we've seen that before with stadiums that are built, but I can look, a sports stadium is one thing, whether you like sports or not. There's still at least a benefit to the community in some peripheral way. Sure, it costs the taxpayers money, but at least there's something to it. The community can get use of it. I'm wondering what these data centers are really doing for the community when they don't provide jobs. They take all the resources and, meanwhile, you're being told to conserve water. They're building one of these, I know in Denver, they're talking, and, Denver is going to have a rough summer ahead. They barely got any snow. The Rockies have barely any snowpack, and they're already talking about water restrictions. Meanwhile, those data centers aren't going to have water restrictions. They're going to just keep right on going, but you're going to have to, take 2-minute showers and only drink water when you're almost dead. And don't even think about watering your lawn.
Well, Michael, you wonder what those data centers are doing for you. They're allowing you to get on Chat GPT and generate weird-looking pictures to turn into AI slop YouTube videos, which are then hosted at another data center.
But maybe if we get really lucky, they will put out some public service announcements like they did during the drought in LA, where they told you to shower with a buddy.
Well, now, wait a minute. Yeah,
we'll change the show to In the Shower with Mike and Dan.
All right. We were talking about in the bar. Well, maybe.
It's in the bath with Mike and Dan.
That really did. Not with Mike and Dan, but that really did happen. There was a PSA that came out in LA.
Friday night, we're going to take a bath and
we weren't going to talk about that.
We're going to watch Goonies. Because it's normal. Oh. Well, I mean, at least YouTube will have plenty of content thanks to those data. So, you're right, Dan. That is pretty much what those things are going to be used for. So Grok and Chat GPT, yeah, and Suno and everybody else has all the AI platforms and the new ones that will be invented. They're all going to have their abilities.
But here's where it gets interesting. I just remembered this. This was kind of buried in the news. I believe it was on Friday, where news goes to die. But OpenAI is actually shutting down Sora because it's taking up too much of their data center resources.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
So they are removing their tool that allows you to generate all of this video and whatnot. So this is the other interesting thing. We're building these data centers like crazy, but there is very much the possibility of an AI market crash, similar to what we've seen with tech stocks and whatnot before. And then what happens is all of these
.com crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, what happens as, we've driven out all of these people out of their homes to build these data centers, and the people who are left behind, all of their costs have risen because of it and all this kind of stuff, and then the whole thing just implodes, because that is a definite possibility. Well, now AI is not going to go away,
right? Of course,
but just like the internet didn't go away, but there's this big boom and then this huge contraction.
Yep.
And I think we're facing the same thing here, and I think OpenAI is honestly the first chink that we're seeing in that armor.
Well, And it's interesting because I think what's going to happen too is, everything naturally expands big and then kind of contracts to fit the market. But with the data centers, what happens when even a couple of them shut down? It's going to turn a huge chunk of that community into a ghost town. It's sort of like what happened to Detroit post, the American auto industry just kind of taking a downturn. I mean, look what happened. I mean, it's that's what's going to happen to some of these cities, Memphis or some of these, especially where the big data centers are at, the ones that are just even more massive than regular size, your standard data center. I wonder what's going to happen there. I know, well, we'll see, I guess. We'll see. I know Elon Musk is pushing all these and AI is the future and all that. Yeah, AI is the future to some degree, but if nobody has any money for anything, what good is AI? What good is that going to do you?
Well, communities walk on a knife edge too when it comes to everything working. So if you get some of these bigger, whether it be a data center or whatever, that moves into your community, takes over land, and then fails, it can be an even bigger problem, because that's part of the downfall of Detroit. Not only was the businesses leaving, but the people who are left behind. The thing that people don't consider is that a city has a fairly consistent cost structure in just maintaining the city.
Right.
So your utilities, your water, your sewer, all of that kind of stuff, which needs its regular maintenance, it needs its regular flow of water and whatnot. They can't just pull that stuff back. There's a fixed cost there that now gets pushed onto the people that are left. So if you live in one of these areas where people, sold high to get out, and this stuff comes in and then it's failed, what you're left with is incredibly increased cost just to maintain the systems that are still there that you rely upon. One of the reasons they can't give away land in Detroit, because water is like 10 times what it was before.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
can't
the
afford to
thing
live
too.
there.
When you give these data centers the tax exempt status, you're not collecting money.
Nope.
It's bad enough that they're taking up all the research. But at least if they were having to be taxed like anybody else, or even taxed more because based on consumption, they would at least be putting money back into the community. But they're not doing that.
Nope.
You're giving them all the benefits and absolutely no drawbacks at all for them. The community is the one, they're the ones that pay for it. So this is, it's a fascinating topic. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I will tell you that. I know that's only a part of what we were talking about in this segment, but I know it sort of became the crux of it, because I think, honestly, it's probably one of the biggest things that will impact communities, large and small. I mean, small communities especially, because that's where they're going to build a lot of these too, is, they're going to be building these in your Sioux Falls and, your Des Moines, and, that's because that's where all the land is, and that's where a lot of resources are that they can easily tap into.
Yeah. I was going to say something profound. Now it's lost. No, it just, I was going to say, we should have learned this lesson of bringing this stuff in, especially into smaller communities. We should have learned that lesson with Walmart.
Yeah.
As they came in, got their tax breaks, got the city to pay for the infrastructure to support the stores, everything else, and then mom and pop dies because of it.
Yep.
And the areas are no better off. I mean, this is a different flavor of ice cream, but it's
right, because
still
that's
ice
not
cream.
Because people will say, oh, it's capitalism, but it's not. That's crony capitalism. That's when you're not the. Capitalism is when the playing field is fair, when everybody has to play by the same rules. But when a politician, goes and gives, this group a different set of rules than this group, well, now it's no longer capitalism. It's a crony system.
Yep.
You know, it's rewarding your buddies. It's it's this sort of, it's very insidious.
Yeah, and I think it's horrible. Look, I'm very much a capitalist, and part of that is you have to realize that I think everybody should have an equal opportunity, but you have to accept the fact that you're not going to have an equal outcome.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
there's risk and there's failure, and you have to be okay with that. But so often, what we practice isn't capitalism anymore, because so often the board is just set for the big guy to win.
Yeah.
And and it might look like the little guy's winning, to get back to the heart of the question, like when data center X comes in with this exorbitant amount of money to give to Mr. Homeowner and say, here, Mr. Homeowner, here's 4 times your property value. And you know what? Mr. Homeowner would probably be stupid not to take it in the short term.
Yeah.
But in the long term, all that's happening is property values are being driven up every place else. So the next home they got to go get's going to cost them more than it probably should. And, give it a couple of years, they'll be right back in the same spot. And just nobody wins.
Plus, you're selling out yourself, or you're selling out your community, and making it worse. And you might say, who cares? I got, $700,000 for my $400,000 house, so I don't care. But eventually you're going to run out of places to go. And now you're going to be stuck living in some community that's been devastated by one of these places. Then what? Then you're going to be the guy that bitches and goes, man, I don't understand why a loaf of bread is $38 and why I can only shower for 10 seconds every Sunday at 4:37 a.m. Well, that's because you're the one to blame for that, dude.
Well, when we launch In the Bath with Mike and Dan, we'll be able to demonstrate to people how to get around to that problem. So there you go. That's a good place to end that convo.
Oh my God.
If you came in late and don't have the context for that, you'll want to rewind later.
Or maybe you won't.
Or maybe you won't. You'll just make assumptions. I hadn't, it's assumption Monday for sure.
Oh God.
By the way, put a 1 in the chat if you like the toys behind me, because we had somebody earlier today who did not.
Oh. See, Dan, I tell you, my voice is irritating, and the fact that a grown man would have toys behind him from somebody that claims to be like some religious, like Christian or something, and yet they're judgy. I mean, I'm sorry, the Bible is like pretty clear on, not judging people. Like only one person or only one being can be the judge. But I don't know.
We'll disagree on that, but you need to judge on the right things. And, but there is that famous verse in Leviticus that talks about death to older people who enjoy toys. I'm pretty sure that was in Leviticus.
Yes. God smote down those that played with Lego.
Yes.
I believe that's somewhere toward the back.
Yeah.
And God came down upon the Lego.
God said that the Legos are instruments of the devil. Lucifer himself has forged these Legos and the dumpster fire that's behind you. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I have a dumpster fire. Where is it?
I think it's to your right. It's up there. There you go. It's funny. It's funny that I know this configuration of Dan's shelves. I've never even been over there.
All right. Shall we do our true false round?
Oh,
yes.
sure.
True.
All right. Again, if
It's
you're new to the
true.
show, the true false round is the best part. We've got 3 minutes per question for Beth to read it and for us to figure it out and decide whether or not what she's saying is true or if she's lying to us. She's often lying to us. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. Go. Question 1.
Scots have over 400 words for snow.
Scots? Like Scottish?
Scots. Oh, we got a lot of words for snow. We also
It's
got a
not
lot
snow,
of words
it's
for
crap.
dirt. Wait, you know what we don't have words for? The sun, because we never see it. Hey, you ever been to Scotland? They should just call it Mudland. Hey, it's dirty. Here's my point. That's the problem. If you don't know your geography, if you've never been there, then you're not gonna understand. But whatever.
Did you say over 40 or 400?
400.
400.
Words
Oh.
for snow.
Well, let's see. There's snow. There's damn snow. There's goddamn snow. Fucking snow.
Jon Snow.
Jon
Snow.
Well played.
The way the rest of this episode has been going,
Informer.
we might see Jon Snow pretty soon. Right along with the White Walkers.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
Crap.
No, I believe that. That sounds very Scottish to me.
I'm going to go with true because she normally starts out with a true.
That is your rule. See, we each have our own set of rules that apply to this game, this round. But yeah, I would say it's true just because that's, again, if it were like sun or if it was happy, or upbeat, I would say no. But
No. And undoubtedly, they have at least 1,000 words for drinking.
oh my God, 1,000.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they probably invented 1,000 yesterday.
Tim says, "What did I stumble into? You should know, my friend. You should know."
You know what you stumbled this. Oh, speaking of stumbling, that's another word for drinking. Hey.
I'm envisioning the Family Guy clip when they land in Ireland. I know it's not the same.
Oh, the runway lined with beer bottles.
I thought you were talking about the one where they first invented alcohol. It was like this thriving, futuristic city with flying cars. Oh, Angus MacLeod invented this new drink. It's called whiskey. Pretty soon everything's destroyed. Yeah.
True.
So yes, true.
It is true. Even though it sounds exaggerated, it's not.
Oh, no.
Scottish dialects include hundreds of words to describe different types of snow and snow-related conditions. Many words describe the texture, movements, similar to how other cultures developed a detailed vocabulary for other common environmental things. They just decided to focus in on snow.
Do you have examples for us?
I'm not going to try to pronounce anything Scottish. No, absolutely
Great.
not.
Well, you can't. Only a Scot can pronounce things in Scottish.
All right.
Not even try. We got words for that too.
Ready?
Yeah.
Number 2, go.
Plants can communicate with each other through underground networks.
I believe that to be true.
There might be plant data centers.
Right? I believe they send chemical signals to each other, if I recall correctly. Or they can. Let's do that, man. Let's take data centers underground. Why aren't we putting them in? We've got all sorts of abandoned mines and stuff. Why aren't we putting them down there? It's climate controlled.
Yeah.
Good idea, actually.
We
I
don't
know
have to
this is
see
off
'em.
topic, but what the hell is wrong with us? We have better solutions.
We really do.
If they're down there, they're more protected against, like rogue North Korean missiles.
Yeah.
I might be onto something. But anyways, as far as
yeah.
this goes, I kind of like true on this one, which means it'll probably be false, but that's okay. I think they send chemical signals to each other. And sometimes they're friendly and sometimes they're get out of my yard.
Yeah. Your flowers are ugly. Get out of here. Get out of this garden. You don't belong here.
You're not HOA approved.
Right.
Yo, man, can't we all just like get along? Oh, a marijuana plant's growing in here. What are you doing in here? Dude, I'm just like trying to like chill out, man. Like, why don't you just like chill, bro? Let's watch Goonies.
It's like that crossover from West Gavelton to South Gavelton. Where it's got, like normal people in the HOA. Yeah.
South Central.
South Central.
With an S.
Yes.
Central.
Spelled with an S. Mike's so wore out, he's mostly off camera now.
I forget that I only have this small window.
He's listing to the side
like, I
ever
can't
so.
do this anymore.
I'm just well, like I'll lean over like this, and then I realize, oh yeah, I'm still on camera over here, but actually I'm not. So
I'm true on this one.
yes, I am also true.
All right. Tell us we're wrong.
It's true.
Oh, cool.
This one is
Neat.
true, and it sounds like science fiction, but it's real. Plants can send chemical signals through underground fungal networks in the soil. Remember, mushrooms actually are our friends. These networks connect roots together and allow plants to share nutrients and even warn each other about threats. It's sometimes called the Wood Wide Web instead of the World Wide Web. So yeah, the forest does have talking plants and trees. They just didn't invite us to the conversation.
Oh, that's the same bullshit that they built Star Trek Discovery off of. The Star Trek that isn't real Star Trek. They actually they made it so that the ship could fly and travel through the mycelial network in space. And
Okay.
yeah, it's basically you're describing a mycelial network. But yeah, but the one in space. So yeah.
What? The-
But this is also the same writing crew that brought you Sonar in space.
What?
So why not?
What? Sonar?
Anyways.
What happened to Star Trek, man? I mean,
The
you know, it's like
pronunciation I have is slightly different, but I know what you're talking about
Yeah.
with mycelial.
Space fungus. Yes, exactly, Lindsay. Don't watch it. It will ruin your brain. What happened to Star Trek? They put an idiot in charge of it, but it sounds like he's getting fired at the end of the year when his contract runs out.
It's like-
so.
like
There's that.
dude, it was great. You know,
Okay, Dan, stop
TNG.
talking. What the hell, great granny? You stop talking. Tell me stop talking. It's our show.
Yeah.
We talk.
we have to, I mean, if we didn't talk, nobody's gonna look at us.
Good.
Like who the hell would want to just stare at us? Like, you know, and apparently nobody wants to hear me. Please don't go
Well,
over
maybe
on my
that's what
channel.
she's saying. Maybe neither one of us have a voice for this, and we need to just be quiet. Should we just type out our answers on screen for the rest of this? Make
just
great
do
granny happy.
ASL.
Yes.
We love Great Granny. Great Granny's wonderful.
I know some sign language, but it would probably get us banned.
Probably.
All right.
Maybe
What are
we'll
we
just
on,
speak
number
another
3?
language. Tagalog.
Yeah, we're on number 3.
All right, go.
There are fish that can climb trees.
Well, you've got the salmon that like swim upstream and like manage to hop over waterfalls and stuff. You got to do it on finger puppets. That's an option. Love you too, great granny. We need a false. This feels like a false to me.
It does feel like a false because it's a fish, and why would it be a climbing a tree? I mean, not to sound like a simpleton here, but I don't think fish could get out of the water to climb the trees, guys. They should only be in the water.
Well, let's work this out. There are some trees that grow in the water,
Right,
go to
of
like
course.
swamps and stuff like that. So could they be climbing the portion of the tree that's underwater? Could they be attaching themselves to it and inching themselves up? because
I
there are
guess.
some fish that attach. So if you had like a catfish, for example, that type of thing that was eating like moss and fungus and stuff like that off the underwater portion of the tree, would you consider that climbing as it was moving itself up? Or is it just swimming? Think plecos. That you use in the aquariums to help keep the glass
yeah.
clean. That fish, that sucker fish, which just attaches itself and moves as it's eating. This is now plausible for me under the right conditions.
Still sounds like a false, but I don't have a rule for this, so I can't go to my rule set. Which, like, I don't have my cheat sheet, so I don't know. I this is one of those it just sounds weird. But then again, if it sounds weird, it's probably true. That nature is weird. That's right. That is a rule.
Nature's
So
weird, yeah.
I guess I'll say true only because the rule is nature is weird.
Yeah, I'm going to go with true based upon the plausibility that I just gave out. So now tell us that we're wrong.
It is true.
Cool.
But
Wow.
your rationale was totally wrong.
Says you.
Well, says my notes.
Okay.
Okay, certain fish, like mangrove killifish, can survive out of water and move across land. Some species can even climb surfaces or roots to reach new environments. So not only are they not stuck in the water, they're apparently exploring real estate options.
They're going to open some data centers.
Yeah, right?
Right?
Sounds fishy to me.
So are the fish claiming the land kind of like a cat will claim it by like rubbing up against it?
Maybe.
Or a dog
Possible.
This
peeing
is
on it.
mine.
It's claiming the tree.
Mhm.
That bush in the park is my bush. My bush.
That means two things.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So we're 3 for 3, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Yes.
Go.
No two humans have ever had the same fingerprints, not even identical twins.
True.
Yeah, I believe that to be true. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think even identical twins have the same fingerprints.
They don't.
Yeah.
I know I've read this somewhere. I don't remember where, but but fingerprints are so, distinct. They're so unique. I mean, just like obviously like DNA or anything else. There's no.
Here's my problem though, Michael.
Yeah.
This is too easy, which means it's false.
But how would it be false? Only because I don't understand how it would be, because you can't have. I mean, I guess, an infinite combinations. I suppose you could eventually wind up with two people that had the same fingerprint, but
She's going to introduce us to cloning or something.
I almost feel
It's
like
too easy. It's too easy to be true.
cloning.
It's too easy to be true.
Maybe,
Don't
but-
overthink it, Dan. That's what I do here.
Yeah, I mean, paralysis by analysis.
Mm-hmm. That's why we have 3 minutes, is to overthink it.
Yeah.
To drag it out for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. Although sometimes the answer it does seem too easy. It does seem too obvious, but at the same time,
It's too easy and obvious.
yeah, I don't know. It's Occam's razor for me. Like, the simplest explanation is usually the correct one. And
Yeah, but I have the advantage of knowing how my wife's mind works.
Sorry about your luck.
Yeah, so am I. I got to be false on this one.
Well, just to be a contrarian, I'll say it's true.
All right. Go.
It's false.
Haha.
Now, you're both probably going to want to throw things at me, but
I got a pen.
yeah. It sounds like a hard fact, but it's not actually proven. Fingerprints are incredibly unique, but we don't have a complete record of every human who's ever lived. There have even been rare cases of very similar or nearly indistinguishable prints. So while it's extremely unlikely, we can't say it's absolutely impossible. And there we go with the math thing again, because there's too many.
See, that's what I said. I said, yeah, sure, I guess a number if you had enough people, but what you're basically saying is, while it hasn't happened, we don't know that it hasn't. We just haven't seen it.
Well, she said it kind of happened.
Kind of like almost indistinguishable, but almost indistinguishable is still distinguishable.
I think this should be a court defense, kind of like something OJ would have used now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Totally use this as a court defense.
You can't prove there's not another fingerprint like mine.
So fingerprints themselves are formed not just by genetics, but also by your environment. So that's why identical twins have similar but not identical prints.
Yeah,
that's why this has started to evolve into something that looks like a palm tree.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why, like, I know I had read that twins don't have necessarily identical, but I don't know. I still, just because we haven't seen it, the idea of, well, we haven't seen it, therefore it could be possible, to me is like, it's kind of weak sauce. I don't know, man.
I think he's challenging you.
He is. It's based on
I'm not challenging you.
So.
I'm just saying.
Challenging my question.
I'm just saying. I'm saying I still got it right, technically.
All right, we'll leave that one up to the crowd, I guess. We're on 4 or 5.
I'm saying we're both winners, Dan.
5? Okay, that's fair.
Hang on a second.
Nothing but winners here in the bath.
In the bath. Did he just knock over his Diet Coke?
An empty can. I do have a few of them on my desk now because, I work most of the day and I need to keep going.
Keep hydrated.
Yes.
Nothing hydrates better than a Coke Zero.
There are animals that can survive being completely dried out and then come back to life.
That's like the basis of the world on 3-body problem, where the people like dehydrate for the bad times and then they rehydrate after.
So you're saying there are animals that are like your cell phone. You just dehydrate, you put it in rice or something, and it works again.
We have a repeat the question.
There are animals that can survive being completely dried out and come back to life.
I would buy into it because various bacteria and whatnot can like be frozen and then thawed.
Ooh, so like cryogenics.
It doesn't sound like it'd be true, but nature's weird. And I would say it's believable. It just doesn't sound like it is. But to me, having heard enough of these questions, I would say yes. I think it is. I think it's a believable premise anyway.
She generally doesn't end on a false, so I'm going to go true. Are we locked in?
Yes. I need to switch it up for the next show.
All
you
right.
guys have given me too many she doesn't, she does, she
All
does.
Right.
Anyway.
We're true.
Okay. It is true.
See, told you.
Some microscopic animals like tardigrades can lose almost all the water in their body and essentially shut down. So when water returns, they wake back up and continue living like nothing happened, almost like a hibernation period. Yeah, they can lose up to 99% of their body's water and can survive extreme conditions like heat, cold, radiation, and be dormant for years and years and years.
So yeah, just like 3-body problem.
That is
There you
interesting.
go. Yay.
Yeah,
So I got them all right, and Michael thinks he got them all right.
correct.
Okay, we
So-
can run with that.
So a good evening.
It was.
Yay. Any other wisdom for us tonight, my love?
Well, we'll be back in 2 days to do this all over again. So make sure you join us.
That is good wisdom. Yeah.
Really is.
ITBshow.com. If you're not already signed up for the show notes, do that. ITBshow.com. Be sure to pick up your Joe's House of Meth shirt while you're there. That will make Michael very happy.
Oh, elated. Yes.
Yes. And yeah, we'll be back Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. I think that's how it's pronounced, right?
Mhm.
Specific time, because it's specifically at 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll be back tomorrow morning over on TCF at 9 a.m. Eastern. And Michael will have a weather video for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion at some point tomorrow.
That's right. I will
Yeah.
irritate people with my annoying voice.
Yes. Thank you for that, Michael. The key to your success, be as annoying as possible.
That's right.
All right, friends, this has been fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. So take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.